I'm unsure if the conversation has hit over here yet, but everyone's talking about the projected 2025 to 2026, or however long it may last, fashion trend of military jackets. And I wanted to talk about not just the trend itself of, wearing military jackets, but why I believe that Jimi Hendrix contributed to not only the act of wearing military jackets, but the whole entire concept of rebellion in fashion. I do have things written down, so if you see me looking over here, it's because I don't want to miss any of my points. But yeah, let's get into it. So, I said that Jimi Hendrix contributed to the trend of rebellion in fashion through the use of wearing articles of a British military uniform during his short time visit to London. Um, Basically, he went over to London after things slowed down in America. He wasn't really getting as many gigs and stuff like that. He, as any other artist does and has done, they crossed the pond. And he was in the midst of thrifting, and he came across a British military jacket, which was an 1899 Royal Army Veterinary Corps jacket. And he started to incorporate that into his look. But, some people may find that as insensitive, offensive, because he wasn't a member of that army. And before I go even more into that, I want to talk about how he contributed to the act of rebellion in fashion, but he did not invent rebellion in fashion. That actually started during slavery and was known as the act of dandyism, which in this case, general dandyism. And that's basically like the act of, finding ways to self-express yourself and identify as something and what you want to be seen as through what you wear. Whatever you do to your physical appearance to create the character or the persona person that you want to be seen as and in. As some of you may know, Met Gala's recent theme was Superfine Tailoring Black Style, which was basically a celebration of black dandyism and how people of the Atlantic and African diaspora use fashion to self-define, rebel, and even sometimes conform. So dandyism and black dandyism are two different things. When it comes to black dandyism, that's where slavery comes in. And through Monica L. Miller's book, which I am currently reading and very much struggling to read because of the terms, I keep having to stop and Google what this word means, this and that. It's a very hard read for me, and I know I'm not going to be able to really take in what I'm supposed to learn from this book off the first read, so I probably will have to read this 2 to 3 times before I actually get what's going on. But so far in this book, she did address like dandyism and early ages of dandyism, where like even during like slave trades, they would use passed down regal wear for slaves who weren't seen as marketable. And by marketable, meaning that they didn't have the athletic physique, they didn't have the muscles and the tough skin that made them look like they were hard workers and they could produce a lot of labor. So those who lacked that were dressed up in regal wear, and this was used to uplift their look and their value, their worth, to make slave masters invest into them still. And also the white families would pass down clothes anyway just for like everyday wear, and slaves would take what's given to them, whatever scrap was given to them, they would alter them, they would hem them and make them to their liking and just create their own flair based off things that have been passed down to them. Something that is constantly done today. Okay, now I'm going to get back into Jimi Hendrix and his rebellion. So again, he found this jacket from 1899, a Royal Veterinary Army Corps jacket, while thrifting in London. He gets stopped and frisked by the British police just for having the uniform on, apparently in an informal manner. which comes off as disrespect towards the fellow country, everyone who fights or has fought for the country, and those who lost their lives fighting for said country. Although he was most definitely wearing the uniform in an informal manner, he actually served in the U.S. Army, so he looked at that moment in time, which was actually only a little over a year. It was from 1961 to 1962. He looked at that as his past to wear uniforms, I believe, of any military, because he's had experience with, wearing a uniform and serving a country. But yeah, he took this as an opportunity to, reclaim his time, his efforts, and things of that nature. So he would get the suit and he would personalize it and wear it to his liking, which was obviously against what veterans and people who, truly believe in respecting the country and those that defend the country beliefs. And this also leads to how his acts of rebellion leads to even more modern rebellion, like today. You see so many people wearing army jackets and camouflage because it simply looks cool. I am a victim of this. I am absolutely obsessed with camo, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm from the South, but I really do love camo. In some areas, and depending on like your outlook, especially if your family like has a background of being involved in the military, you may look at people like me and Jimi Hendrix who like military wear even as civilians as tone deaf. One person that really inspired me when it comes to like the whole entire like reality that I see in like military jackets was Michael Jackson, with how he would dress up in military jackets for formal events, like when he went and spoke at the White House. And I believe he was also buried in this military inspired getup. And I don't know, it's really cool to like see like the personalization that has been done to uniform, and it's just really cool to me. And I believe that it's a very kind of like avant-garde in a sense type of aesthetic, and I actually really want to tap into that when I do like my own photo shoot, and it was my goal to do that in 2022. I actually bought this jacket. It's bedazzled and everything. It's kind of like, it's not necessarily military esque, but I do in a sense feel like it is military inspired. I thought of Michael Jackson's military jacket when I bought it, but I really don't like the way that it fits on me, especially on the arms. And so it's actually on sale on my Depop, so check that out. But kind of getting off topic, so I'm just gonna end the video here. Jimi Hendrix definitely, I would say, is one of the people who pushed the concept of rebellion in fashion early on, especially when it comes to taking formal wear uniforms and personalizing them. And as you can see, like when it comes to like these super big events like the Met and everything like that, I wish more people would have actually referenced him that night. But anywho, I'm also wondering, like, how do y'all feel about this projected trend? Will y'all be getting in on the military jackets or what? Also, do you believe that this new trend will spark more situations of people taking offense to it, or have we grown beyond that?